All right, so you're ready to start building on the Hive blockchain using Python.
Sounds like a great goal.
These tutorials you've gathered, they're amazing. They're really gonna help you get going. We're gonna help you, figure out what's important to get started building whatever you're dreaming of.
Yeah, I mean, Hive has such a thriving ecosystem, and then Python, I mean, it's so accessible. It's really a great combo.
So let's talk about that. Like, what is it about Python that makes it, such a natural language to use with Hive?
Well, Python is really readable, which is awesome for like if you're just starting out or if you've been coding forever. It's almost like writing in plain English.
Okay.
But it like talks directly to the computers. Plus, there's this super handy library called Beam. Think of it kind of like your Swiss Army knife for Hive development.
Beam. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this Beam.
Yeah, it just like takes all the complex stuff about interacting with the Hive blockchain and like simplifies it. So let's say you wanted to like fetch trending posts. Beam would handle all the communication with the Hive nodes, which are basically just the computers that maintain the blockchain. And it just neatly gives you back the data you need.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So instead of getting bogged down in like all the nuts and bolts of how the blockchain works, we can just focus on like building our app, right?
Exactly. And speaking of blockchain interactions, you're going to come across some like key terms, nodes, blockchain transactions. It's good to like have a basic understanding. Think of the blockchain as like a giant digital ledger, right?
Okay.
And it's always growing. Each node is like it holds a copy of this ledger, so it's like, it makes everything transparent and the data is like really reliable.
So like a safety net so that one person can't mess it up.
Exactly. Exactly. And any action that you do, whether it's like, you're fetching a post, you're voting on something, you're uploading content, all of that gets recorded as a transaction on the blockchain. And that's how Hive stays, transparent and secure.
Okay, so just to recap here for a sec, we have Hive. It's this secure and decentralized platform, and then we have Python. And with this Beam library, it makes interacting with it surprisingly straightforward, honestly, from what you're saying.
Yeah.
What's next?
Let's get into like the really cool stuff that you can do with these tutorials. I think you're going to be really excited. You can build apps that use all of Hive's like unique features. You can like fetch specific data. You can analyze like user trends. You can even tap into the blockchain. Like as it's happening, you can see the activity in real time.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like next level stuff.
Yeah.
Where do we begin? Okay, so we've got these tools, we've got Python, we've got Beam, we've got all these awesome tutorials. What can we actually build with all this?
Well, what I love about these tutorials is they're like stepping stones, So they're going to take you from like the basics to like some really, really cool stuff.
Awesome.
So you're going to start by learning how to fetch data from Hive.
Fetching data.
Now, yeah, just think of it as like you're querying this like it's like this huge database that's constantly like updating.
Okay. So what kind of data are we talking about here?
So you can access, all kinds of things. Trending posts, new posts, comments, votes. You can even see like information about specific users.
Wow.
Yeah, like imagine like building a custom feed, like just for you.
Okay.
That just shows you like the stuff you're interested in, or like a tool that analyzes like the sentiment of the community about a certain topic.
Wait, hold on. Analyze community sentiment.
Yeah.
What, like how positive or negative people are about something.
Exactly. Like by digging into all that data, you can really start to see like some really, really cool stuff about how people on Hive, how they're interacting with content.
Wow, that's really neat.
Yeah. You can analyze like voting patterns. You can see who like the thought leaders are in certain areas on Hive. You could even like use that information to build something that recommends like experts in different fields, like connect them with other users.
Oh, wow.
Right. Okay, so that is really cool. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, how practical are these tutorials, really?
Yeah.
Like, can we actually run this code ourselves?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's like, honestly, one of the best parts.
Okay.
Each of these tutorials has like working code that you can run on your own computer.
Oh, nice.
So you can like play around with it. You can change things and see what happens.
That's great. So like we're not really messing with anything on Hive while we're learning.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't have to worry about like, breaking anything.
Perfect.
The tutorials actually walk you through setting up your own, what we call like a local test net.
The test net. Okay.
Yeah. You can think of it as like your own like personal Hive sandbox where you can like mess around. You don't have to worry about, messing up anything in the real world. It's like, it's essential really for any developer because you can just like try stuff out, you can figure out what works, what doesn't, before you like go live with it. So it's like a test kitchen, but for our Hive creations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about fetching data. We talked about setting up this safe testing environment. What else? What other kind of adventures are we going to go on with these tutorials?
All right, so let's talk about reblogging and patching.
Okay.
Now, these might sound pretty basic, but honestly, they open up a ton of possibilities when it comes to actually interacting with the Hive blockchain.
Okay, so reblogging, I mean, that's just sharing someone's post.
Right.
I mean, how does that work when we're talking about building applications?
So it's more than just sharing. When you reblog on Hive, you're amplifying that content,
Okay.
You're endorsing it to your own followers. So imagine you build a bot,
Yeah.
and this bot goes out and it finds all the most amazing posts on a specific topic,
Mhm.
and then it automatically reblogs them to this targeted audience.
Whoa.
Right. And that's the power of, building on a platform like Hive that's decentralized.
Okay, so building a bot that finds and then shares stuff for you automatically, that's
Mhm.
really cool. But you mentioned patching before. What does that even mean in the Hive world?
Okay, yeah. So patching is think of it as making really precise updates to a Hive post,
Uh-huh.
Let's say you wanted to just change one word in a post you made.
Okay.
Instead of redoing the whole thing, which would take forever and use a ton of resources,
Mm.
you can just use patching and it just changes that one word.
Oh, so it's all about not wasting resources and just using what we need on Hive. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, the tutorials mention something called diff match patch.
Yeah.
What is that?
So diff match patch is the engine behind all of it. It figures out the differences between the original post and what you want to change it to, and then it creates this little package, a little patch that has only the stuff that needs to be changed.
Hmm.
So not only does this save resources, but it also makes the updates happen super quick, which is important when you're dealing with something as fast as Hive.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of fast, we got to talk about streaming transactions.
Yeah.
It's like having this live view into what's happening on the Hive blockchain,
Mhm.
seeing new posts and votes and comments as they happen in real time.
Exactly. Yeah. And this opens up so many possibilities for making really cool interactive apps,
Yeah,
Imagine a trading platform, but it's decentralized, right?
right.
And all the market data is coming from Hive and updating live right in front of you, or a news app, right?
Yeah.
But all the news is coming from reliable sources on the Hive blockchain,
Right.
and it's all happening in real time.
Oh, wow. Those are some amazing ideas. So, I mean, we covered a lot today. We went from understanding what Hive is and how Python works with it to these really powerful things like patching posts and streaming transactions. It's really cool to see how it all fits together.
Yeah, totally. And honestly, we're just scratching the surface here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. These tutorials give you such a good foundation, but there's so much more to discover on Hive. It's really incredible.
Okay, so for all the listeners out there who are ready to dive in and start building on Hive, what advice would you give them?
I'd say just go for it.
Yeah.
Dive into the code, experiment, try new things. Don't be afraid to push the limits. Hive is all about being open and working together. So share what you make,
Yeah.
Get involved with the community. Who knows? You might just create something that starts a whole new trend in, decentralized applications.
That's awesome. Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into building on Hive with Python. Just remember that every bit of code that you write, it could change the future of
Yeah.
the decentralized internet.
Yeah.
So, yeah, happy coding.